Society.
It's Out in the World today, but we're bringing you back another episode.
It's Christine.
Christopher.
And I'm Mr. Frazer.
Okay, so we brought Mr. Frazer for questioning. Not that.
I know, I'm nervous now, questioning. Uh-oh.
So Chris got them prepared for us.
And I'm lucky to be sitting next to these two fine students that I had for 2 years. So I miss them dearly this year, but they were amazing students, so I'm excited to be back.
I'd honestly want to have you for this year.
I know, I miss my starting class. I miss you guys.
So, first question, how was quarantine for you?
Quarantine, at first, it was definitely scary, especially, when I remember reflecting back where you had to, wait hours in the grocery line just to get, any little scarce food that you can put your hands on. But so that was scared. I was also living at home at the time, so I was really afraid to go outside into, the real world because I was afraid if I went outside that I could bring it back to my family that I was living with. So that was really tough. I felt like I was kind of boxed in, like you couldn't go anywhere. And I could only imagine for my students. And that's why, when we had our long talks over quarantine, it was tough because you're kind of trapped,
Yeah. It must have been hard, trying to teach during quarantine.
Yes, it was really hard trying to, come up with creative things on a daily basis. The only positive that I would say came from quarantine for myself is just I was able to kind of take a step back and reflect on myself, things that I want to pursue, goals that I have in mind. It kind of gave me that time to really take that step back and pursue it. The other positive was family time, right? So it kind of made me really appreciate, my family a little bit more, that I was taking the time with them for granted. So it was good to kind of have that back with that quarantine style.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
You did so well first year of quarantine.
I know. How as students, how was it for you?
I had you first period, so waking up.
I know.
Mean, it was kind of difficult, but I still listened and interacted.
Oh, I know. I bet first period there's a lot of people sleeping during my class.
You had over 60 people.
I know
in class.
And how about you, Chris? How was quarantine as a student for you?
It was okay, but I feel like I can't really focus on anything anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I mean, it was easier to cheat.
That's what. Everyone was down for the resources and having Google able to go in at any second.
That's definitely the best part.
Oh yeah, totally. As a student, you should be able to, if you're gonna be stuck at home, to use the resources that you have at hand for sure.
Yeah.
On the social side of it, though, were you able to see your friends? Were you, did you miss that aspect of school?
It was so much harder because, I cared about COVID, but my mom was, more scared of it.
Yeah.
I was I'm a kid. I want to go see my friends. But my mom was way more strict about it, so I kind of couldn't.
Yeah.
That sucked.
It does, and you can't see your friends. And that's what I'm feeling. I'm kind of feeling it with my sophomore class this year. This is their first experience with high school.
Yeah.
And so they didn't have that freshman year. So I think there is some levels of maturity that you're kind of seeing slowly but surely getting there rather than, when I had you guys as sophomores last year, I feel like we were at a different place mentally and emotionally. And now it's kind of they're seeing their friends for the first time. So they just don't know where to react. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
So we're still kind of feeling the effects of the quarantine lifestyle for sure.
Yeah, and it was pretty different because us having you in real life for a year and then during Zoom is definitely different from there's just the sophomores having you through Zoom.
Yeah, it's tough. And luckily last year I knew all of you from the year before, so it was natural. It wasn't normal. This is a weird situation. We're all online. But it was natural to get in front of the Zoom and talk to you all because I already had a relationship with you.
And that's the best thing.
So I was very blessed and very lucky. And I don't know if I'm interrupting. I keep on rambling on. So let me know if you have any, you go with your other questions.
No,
or
you're good.
We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. I was I don't know if you have set questions and I'm rambling on way too much. But yeah, like I said last year, repeatedly, the one of the bummers was no routine or consistency throughout the year. And it still feels like that this year. It's day by day, I don't know what's going to happen. One day I'll show up and I have my first period class, I'm missing 15 kids due to quarantine.
Yeah.
So it's like hard to plan and have that consistency and routine, especially last year with when we were at home remote learning. Um, the one thing that was consistent and routine was you all. So having my students on a daily basis did so much for my mental health and my happiness. Just knowing that each day I was able to kind of be like, oh, I get to see Christina, I get to see Chris, I get to see Stella, I get to see Josh. Like I get to see all these amazing people on a daily basis. That was like the reason that like kept on going during that remote learning was like I get to see these amazing people, these young people that are awesome on a daily basis. So like you guys don't know how much I'm about to cry, but you guys you guys don't know how much you guys really have done for me
Thank you.
and my mental health and my just life for these past 2 years. That's
Honestly,
for sure.
to be honest, you're like you've always been my favorite teacher, and it's because you understand and you're like willing to go beyond just to help your students.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm lucky with my subject with PE and physical education. It does kind of like tie in with mental health, but I'm also lucky that I get to spend more time getting to know all of you rather than focus so much on this like rigorous material. Like, oh, we have an exam to take. You know, I got to make sure that you get this certain amount of information in because you have a midterm. Like,
Yeah.
I'm able to kind of be flexible with my time with you all to kind of really focus on getting to know you. So I'm very lucky that my position allows me to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough, and it still is tough. We're still seeing the mental health effects for sure.
Yeah, I've never heard any complaint about you.
No, I thank you. I appreciate it. It's you guys. You guys are awesome.
Thanks.
So how do you think your high school experience was compared to how ours is now?
Oh, way different. Especially like Clark Magnet. It seems like this whole new world. You know,
Yeah.
I'm from a small town, Claremont, California, and like the cool thing about Claremont is there are only a few elementary schools, and then all the elementary schools feed into one middle school.
Yeah.
So you see everyone in middle school, and then it feeds into one high school. So there's only one high school in Claremont, rather than Glendale. It's like there's multiple high schools. So I feel like you guys have friends. The cool part is you guys have friends all over Glendale, but you lose that kind of sense of home with
Yeah.
there's like
Because it's pretty cool
yeah.
that you guys all like kind of grew up together.
Yeah, we knew each other, like whether it's from youth sports or, you know, our parents knowing each other, like we were able to hang out. And the other cool thing about that experience was it's kind of weird at Clark. It might just be a Clark thing with the bus schedule and the buses. If it's kind of like eerie, as soon as the final bell rings, it's just like ghost towns, dead silent. All the kids run into the bus and then it's like, whoa, where did everyone go? And then I remember from my high school experience, you know, everyone kind of stayed after the final bell a little bit. Like, oh, where are you going? Oh, you want to walk to this person's house? You want to go get food? So I feel from that experience, it was on a different level. But also, I mean, I could not imagine being 16, 15-year-olds and 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds dealing with COVID and quarantine. Like, I love my mom and dad to death. I love my brother and sister. But it's like if I was trapped inside that house, like there'd be so many fights with my siblings. So many.
It's happened.
Yeah, exactly. It's bound to happen. It's not like you guys dislike each other, but if you're stuck in the same place for that long, you like. We're gonna have some issues here. Like
I've had too many issues with my brothers.
Yeah, and Robert's really sweet, but it's like Robert. At the end of the day, like if you don't stop right now, like Robert, I'm coming for you. So it's just like. I agree. It's like that was a different high school experience in own. So like kudos to you guys for making it like this far and still going strong and still having that like kind of ambition and goals that you guys are setting. Because honestly, the one thing that was annoying about last year was I thought, and I'm not trying to like throw teachers on the bus, but I thought there was a lot of teachers who treated last year like A, it was either a normal year or B, it was like, oh, you're at home, so I can give you more work, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like you have more time on your hand because you're at home. But like there were so many outside stressors, COVID, and one of them. But it's just like we should have been shifting way towards our mental health and social emotional learning and trying to get along that process. And it's tough because you do have to teach the material. You do have to advance these kids because they didn't want a lot of students to fall back from last year, just randomly pass them, and then they get here this year, and they're like, wait, I thought you guys covered that last year. You should be at this level when you're not. But we should have definitely adjusted. And you
Yeah,
know,
they rushed into things. And then
yeah,
even when we came back, people thought, like, like, it's normal.
yeah, and we're seeing that right now. Is like their lessons that used to take one day are
Hmm.
taking 3 days now.
Yeah.
Students aren't grasping onto the material like they did before, and I think it's just because of what we've gone through.
Yeah.
It's not, and they're still dealing with the after fact of COVID and quarantine, remote life, and then it's also like at every given point, you don't know if you're gonna be sent home during quarantine,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
It's like I feel like
Like, I heard they're pulling
yeah, they're
students
pulling,
out throughout the day.
yeah, and that nurse is so sweet in there, but I feel like she's the Grim Reaper. She like comes into the
Yeah, she
room.
came into
Yeah.
my class and like, oh my god.
She's awesome, but it's like all of a sudden she's like circling,
Yeah, she's
and
like
then
pointing at
yeah,
people.
yeah. And then kids are like, no, not me. Don't circle me. I'm fine. So it's like, I feel for her. She has to be the bearer of bad news.
Yeah.
But it's
sucks.
like at any moment, and then kids are like, have you guys experienced quarantine yet, or are you?
I was like in the beginning of the school
Yeah.
week, so I didn't really learn the basics of some of my subjects. I
Yeah.
was far behind.
That's what.
For
Yeah.
me, my whole family got COVID right when the new year came. Everyone I knew got COVID except me, which is so
Oh
odd.
yeah.
So because of Robert, I had to be quarantined for 2
Okay.
days. So that's the only like.
And during
Quarantine.
that time, did you feel like you were gonna fall behind? Like, were you worried about your schoolwork?
Yeah,
Or falling
100%.
behind,
Because
yeah.
like now they're trying so hard to like take it back to like freshman year.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're not there for one day, it's like you're missing a whole
Missing
thing.
a whole, and it's not your fault. Like you sat
Yeah.
next to someone that ended up getting testing positive, and then yet you get to go home. And yeah, it's cool to go home. I get it. Like you've been at school. It's like, yeah, I get to go home.
I'd
But
honestly be here because I
yeah.
have my friends, and then I
Yeah.
also have to like catch up on work.
Yeah,
and everything.
exactly. It's not like a free day. It's not like
Yeah.
a sick day where you have nothing to do. You're stressed out at
Mhm.
home trying to catch up on all the work that you're missing or falling behind.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you guys are doing. Kudos to all of you. It really is amazing.
I mean, it's getting easier because it's been a few months that we've been at school, so it's getting easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you think that kids struggling with like kind of the depression or kind of the anxiety of going back to school, what are some things that they can do to improve?
It's a great question. Honestly, it's tough too because sometimes, I honestly think we need to destigmatize people seeking out help for their mental health issues. A big problem is people don't want to, say I want to go get a therapy or I need help because then it reflects poorly on them. They think that other people will think that, they're crazy, they're psycho, they need help, like get them away from me.
Mhm.
But it's just so true that there's so many students that probably would benefit from therapy and mental health. And I honestly think everyone that we've been through the past,
Mhm.
2 years, 3 years that we were going through. And then on top of COVID, you have all the other stressors. But I feel like teachers, family members, like everyone should be seeking help at some level because there's a lot of people that, again, are afraid to be outed, right?
Yeah.
So they're afraid to even make that initial jump to seek help
Mhm.
because they don't want to be perceived as crazy or psycho or be judged by their friends and peers.
Yeah.
So the first step, I think what we need to do as a society is really push for people to seek help so that no one should be afraid to get help,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Honestly, too, and it's tough. It's tough for the students because a big factor that I would say would be super important is self-care and doing things you enjoy. Really taking time out of your day to build that routine and say, okay, I have a lot of work, but no matter how much work I have, from this 30 minutes to an hour, I'm going to do something I enjoy that makes me happy, right?
Yeah.
And I totally get it from the student's perspective is that they think they don't have time for self-care because they have so much homework and
Yeah.
assignments to do and catch up on. But I promise you, if you make that 30-minute hour schedule a part of, your routine on a daily basis and do something you enjoy, find that hobby, play that piano that you enjoy, paint, FaceTime with friends, journal, do all these different things that self-care, mental health, and happiness is super important. So that would be another thing that I think is bad, or I think is good, is seeking help, and then really making self-care a part of your day and doing something you enjoy. Um,
What helped me, like, I never thought I'd be a reading type of person,
Yeah.
but that's what I became into. So I've been loving reading books. I've read, I think, 7 already.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's really helped me because I never thought I would be, like, reading, and I didn't know that it would actually help me with my mental health, but it actually does.
And
It
do you
just-
think, like, when you open up that book, it, like, you kind of forget about everything else
Yeah,
that's going
for
on?
sure, because,
Exactly.
like, I'm focused on one thing, and it's something that I love to do.
Exactly.
So everything else just, like, cancels out. It comes out of my head until I decide I'm done with the
Yeah,
book.
exactly. And it's your escape, right? And I feel that's what we need, is we need to find those little escapes, because
Yeah.
with COVID, we completely lost our routine. We completely lost our schedule. So just having an agenda, a daily planner, like, from this time, I'm going to do homework.
Yeah.
From as soon as I get home, 5 to 7, eat dinner, like, just to build that routine and do something to do. And then lastly, can't forget this as a PE teacher, exercise.
yeah.
Exercise. I know you guys, it's not your favorite, but is this sponsored by Oreos?
No.
Don't sue us, Oreos. We're not sponsored, but we do love Oreos. I like double
I mean,
stuff.
Frazer likes Oreos.
As a PE teacher. As we're talking about exercise, we bring in Oreos. But honestly, even if it's 30 minutes out of your day to YouTube an exercise video, or kind of have that space where you go on a walk with your dog, or just any type of movement throughout the day.
Yeah, walking, that was another thing.
Yeah.
I asked my cousin to come over, a friend, and we just go on a walk, 30 minutes. It's really relaxing.
It is, like, any type of movement, just to kind of clear your head, because when I exercise, like, it's my escape. It's like when you read a book, I completely kind of forget everything that's happening out in the outside world, and
Yeah.
all the stress that I'm dealing with in my life. It kind of just goes away for that 30 minutes. And I just feel so accomplished and rewarding and happy about it at the end of it. But yes,
Yeah.
those are a few suggestions I would have for you, for all of you students, for
Well,
everyone.
Thank you so much for coming here
Of
today.
course, I hope.
Yeah.
Thank you. I loved it. I hope I get invited back again. It was fun.
And
Yeah, this is fun. I
Yeah,
love
it
doing
is.
this.
The
if
studio's
you are
legit.
someone who needs help, don't be afraid to ask for help. There's always someone who can help you, so
Definitely.
just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Seek help. Seek help.
Yeah, and the bell's about to ring in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So we gotta
Oreo
We gotta
party.
pack up.
pack up. Basically. We also brought Oreos for Frazer because
Oh, I do love Oreos.
he was like, "I'm not doing this interview without
Out
Oreos."
cookies, yeah. I said the one request is I need cookies, and so I can come. So, any students out there trying to raise their grade, cookies will work. Cookies will definitely work.
Okay, well, see you next time. Bye, society.
Bye, society. Thank you, you too.